Friends, welcome to our daily devotional time, our digital devotional, Valley Presbyterian Church in Paradise Valley, Arizona. And our devotional is for Monday, July 20th. We are looking at an amazing verse this week from Psalm 23. It's a verse all of us should memorize, and we're going to take almost a word-by-word approach each day. So the verse is, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, it begins this wonderful verse with the word surely. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. It's a confident beginning, isn't it, to this verse? You can sense David's confidence. His was a confidence in God that was well earned. As he looked back on his life, he could remember moments where he was rescued from lions and bears, from giants, from kings that were seeking his life, from a bunch of brigands who were disappointed in his leadership when he was living on the run with a gang of felons. He was saved from conflict within his family that led to civil war. He was saved from grave sins that could have undermined permanently his relationship with God. And so he'd been rescued. And so he could say with certainty, with a certain confidence, that God would be there to help him even in the hard moments of his life. Well, we have better reasons than David did to have confidence in God. We not only have the full story of all the other great figures of the Bible who trusted God and found God to be a God whose heart was full of steadfast faithfulness to his children, but we also have the story of Jesus. And in Jesus, God's revelation goes up several levels in that we are given a picture of the whole story of creation. So in Jesus, we encounter a figure by whom, through whom, and for whom all things were made. The Word who was with God at the beginning, John tells us, through whom all things were made. Not anything was made that was made except through him. He is the beginning of the story, and he enters the middle of the story in history in the person of Jesus, born famously in a stable in Bethlehem. And he's also the end of the story. He's the one who brings history to its conclusion and ushers in a renewal of all of creation. And so we know, because we are able to examine the life of Jesus, that the story, the big story of life, is a redemption story. It's a renewal story. We know who's in charge, we know why life was created, and we know where it's going. And this should give us tremendous confidence. We are in the position of people who look back at the events of D-Day and Victory Day. D-Day was the day, of course, when there was terrible slaughter on the beaches of Normandy, when the Allies at last decided to carry the fight to the Germans after basically losing the war on every front all over the world. Now they were going to take the conflict to the Germans on the land of Europe, and they chose Normandy as the place. And in a secret invasion, they brought ships full of men and materials. They landed on the beaches. It was a terrible fight. But it was also the turning point in the battle. It wasn't the end of the battle. There were many months of conflict to come, but it was the turning point, because after that the Allies began to pour onto the European mainland, take back territory, and eventually force the Third Reich back inside the original territories of the German state. It wasn't until that point, in fact, when Germany was finally defeated, that there was a Victory Day. Well, we live between D-Day, which is the moment when Jesus rises from the grave, and there we see where it's the decisive moment in God's battle with evil, and we see what the outcome is going to be. God's power to overcome death and darkness and sin and evil is displayed in the resurrection. It's the D-Day. And of course, we're still in the fight. We're waiting for that Victory Day to come. We should have confidence that the God who raised Jesus from the dead will bring ultimate victory, not only to us personally in our lives, but to the whole creation. Thanks be to God for his wonderful words in our scripture lesson today.